Well, welcome to the recording for the Spreadsheets unit for Computer Fundamentals A. And you can see that the Spreadsheets unit, and it may not be week 5 for you. This recording may be from a different time period for the class, but this is all about the Spreadsheets unit. And one note I have, make sure you look at the assignment directions announcement and the assignment samples announcement before you start the spreadsheet work, and I'll talk about that. So for this week, you have the week 5 write-up. You have something called a finishing plan that I'll talk about in a couple minutes. You have Spreadsheet Project 1, Spreadsheet Project 2, Spreadsheet Project 3, and the final exam. So there's quite a bit to do this week, but it goes pretty fast. The write-ups, of course, take maybe 45 minutes. Finishing plan will take you 5 minutes, maybe 10. Project 1 might take you about 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Project 2 might take you 15 or 20. Project 3, 15 or 20 in the exam. So really no more than about 3 hours of work for this week. So let's move on down. So here we are in the Spreadsheets unit. And the first thing I want to look at is the finishing plan. The finishing plan, please look at this, read the questions carefully and answer them completely. In some I ask for points, and others I ask for percentage. You will not get to revise this work. You turn it in one time, so pay attention. Now remember, there's 1,000 points in this class, and questions 1 through 3, you need to have that in mind. So here are a couple of examples. Like if you have 795 points, that's going to equal 79.5%. 595 equals 59.5%. And what you're going to do with this work is going to be text in the drop box. So of course you're just going to copy and paste this, do the work, and then paste everything into the drop box, including the questions. So you shouldn't have any problem doing this. So number 1, what is your current grade percentage and points earned? So all you need to do is go to the grade book and write down your grade percentage and the total points you've earned so far. That's all, very simple, right from the grade book. Number 2, what grade percentage do you want to earn? So if you want to get 90%, then your answer on number 2 is going to be 90%. How many more points do you need to get the grade percentage you want? Well, right up here in number 1, you figure out how many points you have already, right? Maybe it's 300. And in number 2, if you want to get to 90%, that means 900 points. So in that example, 900 that you would need to get to 90%, and 300 that you have right now, the difference is 600, so that is how many more points you need. So another example, let's say that right now you have 450, and you want to get 80% for the class. 80% would be 800, so 800 that you would need to get 80% minus the 450 that you currently have leaves you 350 more points. So I hope those 2 examples will help you. How many more days are there in this block, which ends on December 20th? So just get a calendar out and figure that out. List 5 assignments and include the possible points possible for each one. So go to the grade book and you can see the assignments and the points possible. You're going to list those. And how many hours per week do you plan to put in this course? Well, that's going to be up to you, right? There are about 6 weeks left. So again, this is very easy to do. Just follow the simple directions and you will not get to revise it. It's very easy to do. All right, Spreadsheets unit. Let's look at the write-up first, as always. So the introduction part, how can Excel or any spreadsheet program be useful? So let's go to Spreadsheets. And authoring spreadsheets using Microsoft Excel. Now some of you might not be using Excel, some might be using OpenOffice, which does all the same work, right? Now, the great thing about spreadsheets, it might be daunting when you look at the cells, formulas, rows, columns, etc. But Excel can be quite useful, or any spreadsheet program, be quite useful when trying to manage large amounts of numerical data. That's the use of a spreadsheet. When trying to manage large amounts of numerical data. The exact answer right there for you. Now in this unit, you're going to work on several projects that will help you learn how to use spreadsheets. Okay, so going back to the write-up, In section 2, I don't have any questions for section 2. Oh, section 2 is just a little bit of information. Okay. So section 2, term spreadsheet comes from like business owners used to keep track on their paper for profit, loss, and things like that. And it was called a spreadsheet. So now the programs are called spreadsheets too. And in this section, fundamental concepts related to spreadsheets, appropriate uses of spreadsheets, create a basic spreadsheet, recognize key features of Excel. Here's a little warm-up activity. So you could go in here and look at a video about spreadsheets. Should Excel be used to maintain a checkbook? Yes or no? What do you think? Think of ways you could use a spreadsheet. So you could go do an online search to see if you can think of anything, find more. So there were no answers to the write-ups there, but I just wanted to go over that part. So getting back to this, so section 3, what are the 3 components of a spreadsheet? Explain how rows and columns are labeled differently. What is the definition of a cell in a spreadsheet? So now we're going to section 3, the anatomy of a spreadsheet, or how a spreadsheet is made up. Well, a spreadsheet is made of columns and rows and cells. Columns and rows and cells. Those are the physical components of a spreadsheet. Now, spreadsheets also use formulas, functions, and sums, and we'll do that later, but the 3 parts of a spreadsheet are columns, rows, and cells. Now, in this section, we're going to explore Excel, identify parts of a spreadsheet, practice opening a new spreadsheet. So first, opening, so you go to File, Open, and then you can, or File, New, to get a new one, right? So shouldn't have any problem doing that. Now the anatomy of a spreadsheet, so let's take a look at this. So if I highlight right here, there's the menu bar at the top, similar to what Microsoft Office has. The toolbar, these are the tools that let you do different things in a spreadsheet. And of course, yours may look different depending on the version of Excel you have, or if you have OpenOffice. The formatting bar, these are the things that allow you to format, to change the type, the color, the way things look, the typefaces. The row indicator, that's on the left. You can see that rows are labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way to infinity practically. Columns are labeled by number, by letter, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, etc. And then finally, a cell is where a column and row come together. So you can see that in this example, cell A1 is highlighted. You can see right up above, not only can you tell you're in cell A1, but you can see right here it says A1. So a little bit more about rows and cells. So a spreadsheet is set up as a grid, meaning that it has boxes essentially. And each box holds the data. So like I'm pointing right now to A1, there's B1. If I move down here, I'm at B7. Over here I'm at D8. So you always say the letter first, then the number. So that's what this talks about. So E14 is column E all the way down to 14. There's E14 right there. So there's a self-test to go through this, see if you can identify so where's the menu bar? So just a little practice for you. Let's go back to the write-up and see if I answered the questions for you. What are the 3 components? Yes. Explain how rows and columns are labeled differently. You talked about that. What is the definition of a cell in a spreadsheet? I talked about that, didn't I? So we've answered all of those. Okay, section 4. What is the easiest way to tell which cell you are in? In Excel, how do you resize a column? What is the term used to change the way numbers appear in a spreadsheet? Well, I'm going to go ahead and open up a spreadsheet just so we can practice with it a little bit. So you can see I'm on a spreadsheet here. I'm going to go back into the lesson. Okay, so go ahead and answer these questions. So we're on section 4. Now what you need to do, you're going to start creating a spreadsheet now. You need to do this because you will add to this spreadsheet for the first assignment. So in this section, we're going to generate, format, and modify a spreadsheet, create a budget. So you need to follow these steps and open a spreadsheet and do this work. So first we're going to go ahead and create a new spreadsheet and save it. And remember, the best thing when you start doing work, save it immediately. In case your computer crashes, you won't lose it. So this is going to be a practice. So moving around a spreadsheet. So you can watch this recording and it tells you how you can move. Open up a spreadsheet. So there's just a little bit, some basics about it. Now, the way that you can tell what cell you're in is that there's a dark line around it. So if I go back to the sample that I opened, if I click right here at D4, see the dark line around it? I know I'm in D4, so that's how you can easily tell what cell you are in, because it has a dark line around it. You can also tell because right up here it shows it, but the easiest way is because it has a dark line around it. Now what you're going to do, you're going to open up a spreadsheet and you're going to start doing this exact work, just like this is showing right here. Do this exactly, because this is going to be the basis for the work for this week. So at A1, you're going to put weekly budget. At A3, you're going to put my expense item. At B3, you're going to put the word amount. And then go ahead and you can put these amounts in for now. So you'll do this exactly. Okay, here's a little tutorial about entering data. So go ahead and watch this tutorial. It'll work you through putting data in your spreadsheet. Resizing columns. Here's a little tutorial about resizing columns, but I'll go ahead and show you. So let's see, I have right here, I have this number. Let me make it a little bit longer. Okay, so that number doesn't show up. Let me do this. I'm going to put letters in this. And you can see that it goes outside the lines here. So to resize, I just go to the top of the cell and I drag the edge of the cell, the edge of the column actually. So I just drag the edge of the column, and that's how I can make my cells wider. And I can do that without any information in there if I want to. So here I made column C a lot wider because I think I'm going to be putting more information in there. So go to the top of the cell, click and drag to make the top of the column, click and drag to make the column wider. That was part of a Class Connect write-up question. So this is going to help you right here. So you do this work in the practice that they're having you set up. Now, formatting values. You need to watch this video because this will tell you how to show numbers correctly. So please watch the video, do this exactly. So you're going to format your numbers. Resizing cells. So this is going to have you practice resizing cells and inserting columns. So go through, watch that video, see what they have you do. And finally, saving and print. Now let me go back to the write-up and see what those questions were again. Easiest way to tell which cell you're in, we talked about that. How to resize a column, we did that. What is the term used to change the way numbers appear? Well, if we go back, the word used, and I'll go back to the slide. And the word used to change how numbers appear is called formatting. Formatting is changing the way numbers and words appear. I'm going to go to the last page in this, and here's where you start your work. Now please pay attention to this. As you got into this unit, you started to build a budget spreadsheet. It told you exactly how to do it. And now what it has you do is it has you go through these steps. First, you're going to rename the amount column with the name of one of your family members. Then you're going to add a column for each family member. Then you're going to add budget items and values. Every budget item should have a value for at least one family member. Some budget items should be multiple family members. And here's how it gets graded. So I'm going to click on this. So if we look at this, what you're going to do with that spreadsheet that you started as you watched the tutorial, so here's the assignment. So you can see what you're going to get graded on. Is it make sure your header row in row 3 is like the exercise had. You have at least 4 family members. At least 10 budget items have been entered. At least 1 budget item for multiple family members. All family member columns are the same size. And I have a recording that shows you all of this work. So that's what you're going to do for Project 1 assignment. Okay, now let's go back to our write-up. And we go to section 5, explain what a range is in a spreadsheet and give an example of a range. What can you put around cells and groups of cells to make them more visual? So we're in section 5. So in section 5, we're still talking about formatting a spreadsheet. And there are limitless possibilities, lots of things you can do with a spreadsheet. So in this unit or section, we're going to generate, format, and modify, identify poor spreadsheet formatting. Now dates can be formatted certain ways. Like 9/11 could be, like 9/11, it's like September 11th, but can also be November 9th. So formatting numbers is important. Formatting dates is important. Formatting do's and don't. Just make sure you're consistent in what you do. So here's a little drag and drop. See if you understand some things about formatting. So here you'll see different times, and you'll see all these things are created differently. The dates are showing up differently. The numbers are all messed up. So you can see how this is not formatted very well. Text. You can format text. You can change the font, the size, the color. You can make it italics. You can underline text. And when you select format, it will apply to the cells that are selected. Now, working with cells. Now, when you work with cells, and you need to watch this video, you talk about a range of cells. And a range is a sequence of cells, meaning cells that are together. So if I go to the spreadsheet, I'm going to highlight, let's see, I'm just going to put some stuff in here. I just put 3 things in there. Now if I highlight these, that's a range. And the range of these cells, this goes from C6, so this is C6 to E6. That's a sample of a range right there. So again, I can highlight that, and that is a range of cells. You can see that the first thing starts at C6, and the last one goes to E6, so that is the range right there, and that's exactly how a range is shown. C6 colon E6, that means, hey, everything from C all the way to E. Now if I put more information in here, I've increased that range. It goes from C6 to F6, so that range could now be called C6 to F6. That's how a range is done. And you can highlight a range, you could do different formatting. on a range. Like I just put bold on that range. I could highlight the range and change the color of the text. So you can see I'll do different things with the range. So that's what a range is. And this little video will tell you about doing work with ranges. Background content. So you can also change things in the background, like you can color cells. So this is going to tell you a little video about how to color cells. So make sure you watch that video. The format menu, this is to format, to change the sizes, colors, bolding. I just showed you a little of that. But the formatting menu, so you'd highlight what you want to change, then you do format cells or the columns or the rows, and you'll do some formatting. The Numbers tab, this lets you change the way numbers look. So not only can you format text, but you can also format numbers so they look like money. Make sure you watch this video. It shows you exactly how to do that. Grids and borders. Now you can put grids and borders on things. This will make things show up better. It will highlight information. You can put darker grids, darker borders, etc. So grids and borders are used to make things stand out. So if I go back to my sample, maybe I want to put a border around this so I have it highlighted. Then I can right click, format cells, and I want to do a border around that. So maybe I want to put this border all around, and I'm going to put an outline around all those borders. Hit OK. Now you can see that what this did, this put a border around it. Now if I wanted to, I could actually put a border around a bunch of stuff, even though I don't have information here. So I'm going to highlight, format cells, and first I'm going to take off that border, but maybe I want to put this thick border around that whole area. Now I put that thick border around, but see that other line is still in there. So check this out. I'm going to go here. I'm going to do format cells, border, and I'm going to go right here because that's, whoops, I don't want that. Actually, what I need to do is I need to go right here and format just those cells. And see the line down here there, I just took that off. There, so now I took that minus line off of that. So this is putting a border around. And while I'm here, I can also show you how I can fill up a cell. So I'll highlight, format cells, fill, and maybe I just want to put one color. So there I just put one color on that cell. So you can see there are lots of things you can do with the formatting commands. And again, this is an outline border. And if I want to put grids in between, then I highlight the whole thing, right click, format cells. And this is going to be a grid, so inside. But I want my inside to be lighter. And now I click inside, so now you can see my outside grid is thick, my inside grid is smaller. So now what I've done, I've put this grid in the whole thing in every cell, but I put the outside border around. The reason I'm showing you that is because you will do that. That's one of the requirements for part of your assignment for Project 2 in this. So borders, so this is going to have you work on that practice one you've been working on. So you'll do exactly what that shows. Okay, the Format Painter. This Format Painter, this is a way that you can put multiple formats on different items. You can explore that a little bit more if you want, but you don't need to do that for the work that we're doing. Okay, now Project 2. So Project 2, you're going to do all of these changes to your assignment. So if I click here to get the Project 2 to see how it's graded, so here's Project 2. You can see that Project 2, you need to have grid lines for every cell, thicker grid line around the outside. The header line should have color shading. The highest value for each family member should be bold and red. Today's date is formatted property. Last row, the last date updated row. And I'll show you an example of what this should look like. So don't submit it until you've done all of this work to get the full points. And we're almost finished with this. So that's project 4. Let's go back to the write-up, make sure that we answer all those questions, explain what a range is. I talked about that. And what can you put around cells and groups of cells to make them more visual? Well, you can put borders around them, can't you? All right, section 6. What is the purpose of the equal sign in the first entry in a cell? Give the formula you would type in a cell to subtract A7 from A6. Explain the use of the sum function. Explain what a function is. So now we're into section 6. In section 6, now we're talking about formulas. And formulas are a way that you can do math automatically. So a formula is simply a calculation, but it's a way to do math automatically. So we're going to generate, format, and modify spreadsheets, manage data, and explore using formulas. Now to enter a formula, you have to use the equal sign at the beginning. And what this says is, hey, I'm doing a formula. In the formula, I want to add up B3 plus the value of C4. So if I go to my spreadsheet, and maybe I have a number right here, I have the number 23, and then the number 26, and then right here I want to put the total of that. So I'm going to put equal, and this is at I3 plus A3, enter. So you can see, so I'm right here, and here's the exact formula that added those numbers. Now the great thing about formulas, check this out, is that if the number changes, like maybe this changed to 20, what's my total? My total changed, didn't it? So that's the nice thing about formulas, is that once you have the formula in there, if the numbers change, then the total changes automatically. So again, formulas have to start with the equal sign. Now, the one class connect write-up question, said subtract A7 from A6, so make sure that you have A7 from A6, you have those in the proper order to subtract A7 subtracted away from A6. So you're going to write the formula. Now I just showed you a sample of an addition. I could change this formula to subtraction if I want to. Of course, I'm not in the proper cell, but you can see that what this one is doing, it is subtracting J3 from I3. That's what this shows right here. Hey, take J3 away from I3. So hopefully that'll give you hints on how to get that class connect write-up question correct. I'm surprised many students miss it. Explain the use of the sum function. So let's go back to 6 here. Okay, so that's ranges, or not, that's formulas, right? Assign values to multiple cells. Now if we take a look at this, this is a way that you could add a bunch of stuff. But sometimes you can easily make a mistake, right? Instead you can use the sum function. And what the sum function does is it adds together a range of cells. So that's the examples of, that's what a sum function does. It adds together a range of cells. So let's say I have number 5, number 17, and I want to add all of these numbers. Well, I could do equal this plus this plus this plus this. I could do that, and you see that formula is long, isn't it? Or I can go right here, I'm hitting delete, I can go right here, and right at the top of my screen, here it says auto sum, click auto sum, and right there it puts in the exact formula. So what this is saying is, hey, I'm doing a formula and I want to add up, I want to sum everything from H3 to L3. So that's how a sum command works. So again, the sum command adds up consecutive cells, or adds up a range of cells. That's what the sum command does, adds up a range of cells. Here's some practice on different functions. There's a square root, a count, a maximum, sum. So see which ones you know of that, which ones you can figure out. Now this one is using some kind of a temperature activity, and I don't know where this came from, but what I think they messed up something in this course, so we're not doing this. But what they're having you do is they would have you put in a formula to figure Celsius temperature based on the Fahrenheit temperature. But obviously we're not going to do that. So there's the formula that one would put in, and then you could do that conversion. But again, we're not doing that. The format cells. So we've already looked at formatting cells. So here's so you could format numbers with decimal places. So you've explored formatting numbers quite a bit. Copying, so you can easily copy and paste formulas, and it makes it so you want to really examine the copying and pasting. Undo button, Control Z will allow you to undo. And I want to show you a quick example of copying and pasting. So let's say we have these numbers. So maybe I have these numbers right here. It's just practice. So I have group 1, and then group 2, I have some ages of people, right? Now this one is adding up all the ages of people in group 1. And now I want a formula to add up all the ages of people in group 2. Watch this. I go right here to this formula, right click, copy, then go right here, Control V to paste, and you see what it did here? Is it took this formula, which was H3 to L3, and automatically copied it down here and changed it to H4 to L4. So this formula automatically copied down here and even changed what the range is. So that's where copying is really useful. And you can also do this. Check this out. I can copy that down, and as I add numbers in here, if I add like more groups of people, you can see how it'll do that math for me automatically. So that's how copying formulas down can really be cool for you. So that's just an example of copying formulas. Okay, so we need to move along. The right menu, so you can, once you have a set of information highlighted, like a range or something, you can right click and then do different commands with that. Now here are different formulas, and these are also called functions. They're minimum, maximum, and average. So there are lots of things you can do with minimum, maximum, and average. And I'm going to go ahead and show you some examples of that. So let's go back to this spreadsheet. So I'm going to take these sums out. They're my way. Maybe I want to find the minimum for this row right here. So I'd go right there and I would do formula, and the function I want to add in is I want to add in the, let's say maximum, since it's right there. So maximum, and I'm going to highlight, I want to find the maximum value for those. You can see that it tells me 20. Number 20 is right there. And what if this one changes, 37? 37 changes, so you can see how I made a maximum value. Now I can also do count. So pretend that this was a list of, well, let me show you here. So now I want to count up how many items I have entered here. So I'm right here, and then I'd go up to insert the function, and I want to add up how many items I entered there. So I hit count, okay. Then I'm going to go ahead and highlight. And check this out. This count formula right here tells me that I have 9 items in this column. What if I deleted some? If I went here and delete, watch the count change. So now this is telling me that in this column I have 7 items. So that's how to use the count command. And the reason I show you this is because for this assignment, assignment 3, you're going to do a count and you're going to do sum. So the total, so each person's total is going to be the sum command, and to count, you're going to use the count command. Then you have total expenses, expenses for each member, and the total expenses for the whole thing. Now you can go here to look at how you get graded. So this is the last one, how to get graded. And don't worry about this, because I'll show you a picture that shows what yours should look like. But these are the things you get graded on. Make sure you do all of those. And if you go down here, you don't want to turn it in until you've done all of these items. Okay, so let's go back to the course. Now we've gone through, let's check the write-up, make sure I've answered everything. Formula to subtract A7 from A6. Explain what a function is in a spreadsheet. Well, a function just lets you do math more easily. That's what a function is. All right, so let's go up. Now we've talked about all the work for this unit. Now we're going to go back into the course home. And I know this recording is a little bit longer than most, but I want to make sure we cover everything for you. So now go back to the course home, and I'm going to go right here to assignment directions. Here's a video that shows you exactly how to do all the spreadsheet work, if you need that. And assignment samples, check this out. Right here, click right here on Budget Project 1, and here's an example of what yours should look similar to if you do everything correctly. Yours should look similar to this. And here down below here, these are the things you're going to grade it on. So yours should look similar to this. So that's Project 1. Then you can look here at Project 2. So Project 2, you're using Project 1 work, but then you're making changes. So look, you have the thick grid line around the outside, or the thick border around the outside. You have grid lines in here. Then I've highlighted the most expensive item for each person. And I've also did the last updated. So you can see down here, those are the requirements. And I've met all those requirements in that spreadsheet. Last, Project 3, you'll see more changes. And in Project 3, this is where you use the sum command. So you do sum on this, and you sum this whole range. Even if it's blank, you sum the whole range. So that's the sum command. Then over here you use the count function. So you have that. Then you also have totals and count that you do at the bottom. Then you have a grand total for the whole thing. And this grand total is going to sum up this whole total column. So those are the 3 examples of what your work should look like. Of course, your names and values will be different from mine. Please make sure, like the sample says, like the directions say, keep some of them blank. Don't enter zeros, keep some of them blank. And last, of course, for this week is you have the unit exam, and here's the unit exam preview. Okay, that's the work for this week. That's the work for the spreadsheets unit. So we've covered everything. So right here, that's the work for the spreadsheets unit. I look forward to your work coming in. And take your time, get it done 100% right the first time, and then you don't have to worry about it anymore, right? And make sure you save with the exact file names. I would save when I do this one, I would call it Section 4 Project 1. This one I'd call it Section 5 Project 2. This one I'd call Section 6 Project 3 when I save them. Okay, thanks everyone. Bye.